to the United States in 2009 from the United Arab Emirates. I had to assimilate myself to all kinds of changes and cultural resets when I got here. It was rough, but I eventually started to get excited regardless of the homesickness I experienced. Not being accustomed to American ideals and cultural expectations while struggling against childhood obesity and anxiety, it was not easy. But I was able to slowly rehabilitate myself with the help of my family. I was naive to issues of racial disparities all my life, up until the point of entering high school. I experienced racism in the UAE and witnessed hardships in Minnesota for family members. This wasn't something that was easily noticed for me, and life was hard, but I thought that's just how life was. I was a multicultural kid in a new country. It took me until the 7th and 8th grade to learn that it was all wrong. Learning what being tokenized was and being instructed on what stereotypes and racism is by my aunt and uncle when I explained why the kids in middle school made jokes about my Muslim, Somali, and Black identity. My first volunteer experience in high school was with the Youth Leadership Council, a student group comprised of high schoolers interested in service learning and volunteering across the ISD 622 school districts of Minnesota. My first experience was to help out at a high school summer camp in their logistics and engage in events with the students. After that, I moved on to bigger things throughout the high school student group. Eventually, I engaged in a service learning project in San Francisco through the Youth Leadership Council and started to work on the achievement gap. This marked the first systematic topic that I began to work on. This was the first step I took towards doing high-profile service, and I actually carried on that same work for a presentation during my time as a congressional intern at the former office of Congressman Keith Ellison back in 2018. When I first got to the University of Minnesota, I thought I would be a comp-sci major. It made sense to me at the time. Computer programming was something I picked up as a hobby, and I thought it would be a cool field for me to enter. After taking a couple of classes and struggling through the labs, the exams, and talking to many computer science graduates about the job prospects that follow after graduation, I realized I had to change my plan. I wasn't happy in that major and worked on only self-sustaining goal projects and viewed the major as a more selfish field to enter. But I always knew that I wanted to try and shape around social justice and service work if it was possible by applying a social justice lens. It was in my freshman year that I had to make the big decision for myself to consider all other alternatives, and I was in an uncomfortable position because I had to find that one field that was going to make the most sense to me. I especially started to realize that computer science wasn't for me after being involved in multicultural student group activities at the U, doing immediate and impactful work through service-based university institutions and affinity-based groups. I felt fulfilled that I was directly assisting and enriching my community members and schoolmates. I switched my major to global studies with a focus on human rights and justice, since I wanted to assist vulnerable peoples on top of getting increasingly involved in campus student groups and service-based experiential learning programs, such as HECUA. Service opportunities showed me that there is a way to work my idea of service and community engagement with any passion that I would want. Henceforth, I become a global studies major. Getting especially more involved with the community throughout student groups and personal volunteering opportunities is what I cherished in my college experience. I learned about myself, what I value, what kinds of work would I tolerate, how to utilize my networks to the best of my ability, and how the world worked overall through service. Each opportunity to work with student organizations on campus has pushed me towards service-based learning and fields as potential professional opportunities, and I couldn't have felt more fulfilled. I've been involved and or partnered with groups such as the Black Student Union, the Somali Student Association, Multicultural Center for Academic Excellence, the Martin Luther King Advising Office, and first-generation college students. These experiences led me to learn about the CESP program due to the program's goal of assisting scholars with a service project and point them in the right way to accomplish it. I thought for some time, 2 years to be exact, and finally decided to be a part of the program during summer break of my junior year. In regards to the project I worked on for my ISEP, it is to assist my partner organization, the Communities United Against Police Brutality, with structural and logistical organization, in addition to revamping some of the current structures that they currently have for documentation. This change has come amidst the COVID-19 situation, but hasn't stopped the scope of my work entirely. Now that I'm graduating from the U of M with my preferred degree, I don't just plan to implement my ideas of service and community engagement as a professional career, but an extracurricular responsibility and hobby. If I can do it and I have the time to do it and the resources, I will do it. If I want to start a nonprofit or a for-profit business that can work or support a service initiative, I'm going to make sure that I have that lens available for me to implement within either of those ideas. Service is a way of life. It is a necessary responsibility, and I will uphold that till the day that I pass away.